Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. We are your hosts, Bull and P, and our Volunteers are advancing on to the College World Series. The game's not over yet, but it's almost 10 o'clock, or it is 10 o'clock here in Georgia. So Eastern Standard Time, if you're on Eastern Standard Time, it is 10 o'clock. Please, as always, make sure if you're tuning in right now, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank y'all so much for the donations. You can scan that Cash App barcode right here, and you can continue to donate to the channel. We greatly, greatly appreciate all of the support that everyone has been giving us. So, huge win. You know, number one, okay, the first thing that I got to talk about is this guy, Greg Olson. I know that we're all very excited and happy that we don't have to deal with him any longer. That is the biggest deal for me. And I mean, he's just been a freaking nightmare the whole daggum thing. Every single call is going for Evansville, right? Like you could just tell that that's who he wanted to win. And it just felt like, honestly speaking, man, like he might end up being the most upset person about this loss to Evansville today in this win for our Tennessee Volunteers. But, you know, I think that we came out and we performed beautifully. You know, like we talked earlier today about, you know, Xander coming out doing his thing. I said, hey, look, he might go 5-6 innings and not give up any runs. Well, that's pretty much what he did, right? So there was a run that was given up in the first inning, but he has a 0 ERA for this game. So he did not give up anything. I didn't get to catch the top of the first, but it sounds like that was like an error or something like that. So does not go to Xander. I think that he pitched beautifully, okay? Gorgeous. Absolutely everything that we wanted to see from a guy right here down the street, P. Buford, Georgia. We know very well about it, P. You know, you went to Buford High School. So that's what it's all about. That's what it's all made of. I love the way that we hit today. And the game is actually on currently 12-1. I don't know how many home runs we hit. We're going to take a look at the stats here in just a minute, but very excited. P, I know that you didn't get to see all of the game because we kind of been in and out, doing a whole bunch of training with, you know, training Case and training Bray, trying to get them ready for football season and the baseball season and everything else. So we missed some bits and pieces of the game. But from what you did see, P, what did you think about, you know, just how phenomenal the hitting was? And I guess, you know, some of the errors and stuff that we had out there fielding.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said before, I love this team, man. Tony V, he gets his team ready to go. This team built the right way. I think they have the right mentality. And when you play a team like Evansville, a team you should beat, you go out there, you drop a game you shouldn't drop against them. Was that yesterday, whatever day it was? Your back's against the wall. It's do or die. Want to go home. These guys shut up to the plate, and you know, these are the tough types of wins you got to have. I think you want to make a run. You want to go win the whole deal. You got to beat teams you should beat, and this team was able to get that done. You know, do in dramatic fashion. Looks like we'll see if we can. Hey, we got to hold off. Okay, 12-1, but you know, this team's looking good right now, man. And you know, this is a scrappy team. Okay, it's the reason they made it this far. You know, it's a scrappy team. Find a way to get it done. Team that you know, definitely want to come out here and get that W. We had a couple. I seen a couple guys on, you know, social media and things predicting us to lose this game. You know, to lose this series. You know, seriously. You know what I mean? So you know, for us to come out here and get that win, man, it's a huge win. Bats are still hot. Can we continue to keep it going? You know, Xander, like I said, came out here, pitched his heart out, got him down here in Buford, Georgia. Knows what it's like to play for something, to play when it counts. You know, not a stranger to that moment, and it showed up today. So you know, hope this guy can carry his momentum. You know, I know we'll get into the matchup next game, but I've seen, you know, probably who we're gonna play, and it's gonna be a tough matchup, man. So I come ready to go next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, shoot, you know, Florida State, they look really good. And that's, you know, something else that I had talked about in the video earlier today. Was with our crowd noise. I said, man, look, we got to get it hyped. We got to get it going. And actually, it's funny because after that video was posted, I saw other people saying the exact same thing. Like, look, the crowd's got to get into it a lot more. We kind of have a tendency as Vol fans, especially with baseball, to kind of be too much of spectators. We got to treat this like it's a freaking football game. You got to be loud. You got to get into it because the players feed off of all of that energy. And I felt like we did that today, you know, and I felt like the players definitely fed off of it. It looks like we've got Dean Curley's up to bat right now. He might hit him another homer. I mean, he's been looking good. That's a ball. It's high. I mean, they just ran out of gas, right? Like they just ran out of pitchers, and we pretty much knew that. Call that, you know, as soon as we knew that we were playing them, we said, hey, look, if we get past their top 3 guys, it's not a whole lot left for them, right? So I said, hey, if we do make it to this game 3, it should be a blowout. And that's exactly what we're seeing today. So I'm just proud of us, though, for stepping up in a moment where we kind of could have, you know, took a step back or, you know, kind of been, you know, deer in the headlights type of a deal. But we didn't do that. And kind of back to my point, just to finish that thought, with our fans going up against Florida State, whenever we play them, we're going to have to try to be louder than them because they bring it. I mean, they bring it on a very consistent basis. They got a whole lot of traditions and chants and stuff. So we've got to be able to outdo them if we want to be able to win that series. That's going to be a tough one. I think that Florida State might be the best team that's left, honestly speaking, P. But we will get into that matchup here in just a second. But let me go on ahead and pull this chat up. Right here, if I can get to it. Okay, right here. Okay, so this right here, this is from Blackout Jones, and he said that it's a foregone conclusion. Absolutely. Like, I mean, it's the bottom of the eighth. It's 2 outs right now. It's a full count, and Dean Curley's still up to bat, but he's still fighting. You know what I'm saying? He's still making that push. We're gonna see what he does right here, and then we might just move on. Oh man, that's a good shot right there, but I think it's gonna be out to center field. So bats are hot. You got to love that. Now, I will actually touch on this real quick before we get into the stats and the matchup for next week, P. We've got to do a much better job of being clean out in the field. We didn't do that today. We was able to get the victory, but that's not going to work moving forward, okay? The games are going to get closer and closer, tighter and tighter. I don't know what's going on, if it's just like a lack of focus or what, but it's just like maybe guys are getting tired. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we just need to take a break. I don't know what it is, but I mean, we have to most definitely lock in. And P, I mean, you play baseball, so what do you think that comes from? Just like some of not catching the ball on some easy outs, whenever we're outfield and things like that, just dropping short, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to, discipline, focus. You're doing a routine, catching a routine fly ball, you catch 1,000,000 times. Mm-hmm. Well, heck, the 999,000th time, might be the time you drop it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you kind of just lose focus. But you guys got to be more disciplined than that, man. You got to lock in, focus every single rep, every single time. Obviously the bats, they go hot and cold from time to time. In baseball, it's you hear basketball refer to it as this, but I think baseball is similar. It's kind of a game of runs. I think baseball is a game of swings and kind of a game of hot and cold. Mm-hmm. You'll go hot, you go cold. Who's hot at the right time? Who's kind of, out of their slump. And we kind of talked about this earlier. We kind of saw this team kind of take a little bit of a slump earlier in the year, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's good to kind of have that slump because, I mean, pretty much it's inevitable in baseball. You're gonna have that cold spot. So yeah, I think we kind of got ours out the way for the most part, and so hopefully we can kind of stay hot the rest of the way. But I think it's comes down to focus, man. These guys just lose focus on doing the routine plays over and over again. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, for sure. And then too, Snead coming in to kind of close the game out. I'm just hoping that he will be able to close it out the right way because I think that he might be like our best overall pitcher. You know what I'm saying? At least kind of coming into this series or throughout the regular season. He was probably the most consistent and the most shutdown guy. But we didn't see that yesterday, okay? I haven't been able to watch too much of the end of this game because we're getting ready for the live stream and all that type of stuff. But that's something else for us to, really be paying very close attention to. We need, and actually it looks like Kirby's coming in? Yeah, so Kirby's coming in now. So, Kirby's been pretty consistent. He'll be able to get you out of an inning or two. But yeah, I mean, we just got to find a lot more consistency. We got to maybe find somebody to be that ace. I think that we are going to need an ace if we want to win the whole doggone thing because it's still a ways to go. This is a whole new deal, right? Everything that we did before doesn't matter now. We've got to kind of reshift, refocus. Obviously, like you want to build off of the good things that you did, but you got to keep that hunger and you got to keep that fight. And I think that really all for us right now is going to have to start with our pitching. We've just got to continue to be a lot more shut down in the most critical of moments. And let's see, first pitch is a strike. Boy, I mean, he's got his arm motion, P, is beautiful. Every single pitch comes out of his hand almost the exact same way. So I can see why hitters struggle to be able to pick up on that. But it does seem like after like an inning or two or three, man, like they kind of start to figure it out. At that point, it's tough going for us. But I do want to go ahead and kind of switch this right here. We are going to switch it to the Florida State matchup just real quick, y'all. And we did bring this up yesterday, but we've got to kind of talk about this. This is who we're going to be facing. Hopefully, as long as everything goes well for, I guess the rest of this inning, unless Evansville can come out and score 11 runs consecutively, then, it's going to take a whole lot for them to be able to win it out. But anyway, looking at the batting average, that's what I kind of pointed out last time. It's very, very close. We're number 17 in the country, batting .311 for the team. Florida State batting .316. That's good for number 9 in the country. On base percentage, we're number 22 with .417. Florida State's number 24 with a .414. Slugging percentage, we're number 2 with .604. Actually, let me just pause this real quick just to let y'all know that we did just get an out. And it actually looks like we're just kind of going around and letting all these seniors get their final outs right here in Lindsey Nelson Stadium. You know, this is a very historic moment. I think that's what's going on here. Are they pulling him or what? Or is he still going? He might still be going. All right, so let me continue on here. But we do have one out right now, y'all. We're just 2 outs away from the World Series. It's rocking in there. Hey, I love to see it. I love to see it. Okay, so slugging percentage for Florida State, they're number 8 with 560. Home runs per game, we're number 3 in the country with about 2.5 per game. That might be going up by the time that we get to next week's game. And Florida State's at number 14 with about 2 per game. And then after that, stolen bases. Neither team's great at stealing bases, but Florida State's better than us. They're at 155 in the country with about 1 stolen base per game. And we are at 245 with about 0.7 steals per game. ERA, this is so important. We're number 3 in the country with a 3.8, and then number 44 with a 4.85. Fielding percentage, we were at 24 kind of coming into the series. It might have gone down because we haven't been looking good here recently. But Florida State's might have gone down as well. But so anyway, we're number 24 at about 97, almost 80%. And they're at about 98% at number 15. So just looking, it's kind of looking at those numbers, P. What do you think? Because, you are the baseball guy, but what do you think about those numbers?
I mean, this is an explosive team, man. They can go hit for hit with us. They have power. They can put the ball over the fence. We saw they put up, 24 points, whatever it was, against UConn.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. I mean, anytime you put up 24 points, I care who you're playing in a baseball game. I mean, that's impressive. So this team, man, they're going to, they'll hit the ball. They'll put it out of the yard. So our pitch needs to be on point. I think it's imperative we can kind of, at least try to hold these guys, as much as we can. And pitching is obviously the biggest part of that. That's your greatest weapon on defense is your pitching. Your defense can do so much. Hey, we can field the balls that are, within reach or whatever that we can make a play on. But at the end of the day, pitching's got to be on point. Get the strikeouts, get the ground balls, that whole deal. Keep the ball in the yard. And then our bats got to come. I think it's going to be tough to hold these guys under, 5, 6, 7 points. We're going to, we're going to get up, 8, 9, 10 points probably to win these games. So bats got to come. But this is going to be an explosive matchup. Probably will be like you said, probably the toughest matchup that's left, and probably will be the kind of the series of the whole World Series. Is this one right here because it's 2 high-powered offenses going at it. 2 teams don't want to lose. You look at football. Talk about 1998 national championship, Fiesta Bowl. Okay, this is these 2 teams. Quads kept kind of hate each other. There's a quiet little rivalry there, and so I expect to be rocking, man. I can't wait to get this thing going.
Yeah, actually, for anyone that's just now tuning in, we are going to be talking football here in just a minute. But oh man, here he comes. Marcus Phillips is coming in. This is the one that I really wanted to see. How is he going to do? You know what I'm saying? How is he going to close this thing out, right? Is he going to get these next 2 outs? I think that he can do it. If he comes out and looks good and kind of, goes into the next series with some confidence, that's what we need. But we will be talking football. First pitch is a fastball. Looks like they made some good solid contact, but it's going to the backstop. So let me get to some of these. We get to some of these right here. So Blackout Jones also says, yesterday reminded me of how our pitching was earlier in the season. Yeah, we still can't see the entire thing, but we've got to, we definitely have to find our pitching. Like, we've got to get it very consistent. I agree with that. And then Blackout Jones also says that they're pulling him, talking about Kirby. This right here is the problem, though, with Phillips. He's throwing the ball down into the dirt. He's just got to play within himself and just make sure that he does not, just throw a bunch of errant pitches. And if he does that, man, if he can just continue to have some command and some control, then he's going to be fine. So, also, we will be talking football here in just a minute. We got to talk about those OVs. We talked a little bit about it before. Here we go again with the fielding. Dang. All right, I got the out. One more out, y'all. We are 1 out away. 1 out away. All right, so let's go on ahead and pull up. Let me get to my man right here. Greg Voyle says, continue to love what you do, brothers. Thanks for all your keen and insightful coverage. Thank you so much, Greg. We always appreciate all the kind words, man. We're just trying to put it all together. I'm not much of a baseball guy. I love the sport. P knows a lot more about it than I do, but anything that our volunteers do, I mean, we're going to talk about it, right? Like, we're going to get it right. But so I do want to go on ahead and pull up what the stats are right now just from this game. And then once we kind of take a look at that, since it's almost over, this might be the last out right here. Pop up the left field. Who's going to take it? Looks like Dreiling takes it. The Vols head on. The Vols head on to Omaha, baby. Yes, sir. Hey, and they going crazy. I love it. Hey, I absolutely look at them. I love to see it, man. So I'm happy that everyone can join into this moment with us. It's a beautiful, beautiful moment for our volunteers. I think that this is going to be the time, P, that we will. I think this is the year that we're going to break a whole bunch of curses, right? Like people saying, well, we don't know if Tennessee can get over that hump. I think that we can. We got the team to do it. We seem a lot more dialed in, a lot more focused. But people are also saying, and I mean, I guess this is a fact. It's not really, this is a stat. No number one seed, I don't believe, has ever won the College World Series. And that's kind of mind blowing to me. I mean, that just kind of goes to show you how, up and down baseball can be. But
Right.
I think that we're going to be the ones to do it, man.
I think so too, man. We got a real shot, man. This is a team, not as good as the team was 2022, wherever year it was. But I think this team, man, they're built the right way. I think it's a bunch of guys that people have slept on and kind of down and count out their whole lives. And these guys are hungry for it, man. We got the right team, I think, to go do the whole thing. So we'll see. It's going to come down to pitching, I think. Can pitching sustain? Can we get, good enough performances? If we do that, man, I like this team's odds.
Yep. So I agree with you, Pete. I'm gonna get to some more of these right here. So Greg Vols says, I have to say I was concerned after that second loss, but this was a great statement win, Omaha. You already know, baby, and I agree with that 1,000,000%. And then Carla Jenkins is saying 12-1. So that's the final score for those of y'all that are just tuning in and you can't watch the game for any reason. Tennessee does win 12-1, and now they're showing the World Series bracket. We got Florida State coming up. And then if we win that, we've got the winner of Virginia and North Carolina. I think that Virginia is another team that is, might kind of be a little bit of an issue for us. But Blackout Jones says, let's go. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me see what else. We're gonna get to some of these chats, man. This is all about y'all. Carlos Jenkins says UT out there playing like the number one. The baseballs are. I love it. You're exactly right. Blackout Jones says Miami was last one in 99, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah, you are probably correct on that because I could not tell you. But let's go ahead and pull up these stats real quick, y'all. Let's take a look at how everything is looking at the end of the game. Let me get rid of that before they demonetize us, shut this whole thing down. Let's go to the box score, okay? What we have right here is pure dominance from our Volunteers. So it looks like we had 12 hits and we scored 12 runs, 12 RBIs. How many home runs did we get right here? Looks like 7 of them, man. 7 home runs. That's ridiculous. Looks like Evansville only had 6 hits. They only scored once, and that was off of an RBI. But I also think that a little bit of that might have been an error. Like I said, I did not get to see that. And as you're just kind of coming down here, you can take a look at all the rest of the stats, man. The pitching, I'm going to continue to talk about this, man. My dog, Xander, did his thing. He did his thing. 6.1 innings, right? Only gave up I guess he gave up all of the 6 hits, but he did that through 6 innings, so that's very impressive. Looks like he didn't have any errors. I thought that he did have one. It was a time that the ball kind of hit him, but no errors for him. Very, very impressive win for our Volunteers. And, we might talk a little bit more about this matchup as time goes on, maybe at some point this week. But for now, we are headed on to Omaha, pull out all the Peyton Manning stuff, you know what I mean? Everything. I could not be prouder of this team. And to all the people who just doubting us, man, you got to let that battered Vols syndrome go. It's a different year. It's a different time for our Vols in every single sport. Yeah, softball might have lost, right? They didn't go out the best. I think the basketball team really pushed. And this season, though, like moving forward from this point, I think that we're going to close out the right way. P, you had brought up 98. It's going to be back like that, whenever the football team wins it, the women's basketball team wins it. But it could end up being a little bit better because we're going to have more teams, I think, that is going to win it in 24 and in 25. So a whole lot to be excited about as Volunteer fans. But we are going to just kind of shift gears right here real quick because I know a whole lot of y'all want to talk about football, want to talk about those OVs. I want to talk some about that, P, because, we kind of been talking about that all day. Anyway, we have some thoughts. And I only brought to y'all 3 players today. Part of the reason for that is it sounds like, we brought some guys up on some visits and either it wasn't a match on our side, from our perspective, or maybe they just didn't feel like maybe the player wasn't feeling us as much as we wanted them to. So I think that that's normal, right, P? Like whenever you go on these OVs, sometimes it's kind of like a vetting process, especially if you haven't visited that school as often. But do you think that us kind of backing off of some of these players, do you think that that's a cause for concern because, we turned away guys like Derek Meadows, okay? We turned away Cam Sparks, Jamie French, there's more, Jalen Matthews, right? I mean, there's been several guys that are high caliber players that were kind of maybe leaning towards Tennessee. At least we're in the top 3, 4, 5. But we say, hey, look, we're going to hand select who we want. Do you find a problem with that, especially if this class does not end up finishing top 5, or do you think that this is the right way for Coach Heupel to handle this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think definitely at this point it's easy to, have concern when we're turning guys away. Obviously, this class isn't finished. We didn't have a phenomenal class the last couple of years. We've kind of been in it for a lot of guys, haven't closed. This is going back since Heupel's been here. And so it's kind of easy to kind of get up in arms when you see us turn around the Jalen Matthews, the Jamie Frenches, Cam Sparks, turning away those guys that, hey, we could use those guys. These are guys that have showed interest in us. Why are we turning these guys away? But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of my nature. I'm a guy, I trust this staff, and I think that there's a plan. I always think there's an ultimate plan, that they have something in the bag, that we're kind of looking at it, almost playing checkers. These guys are thinking 3, 4 steps ahead. They're kind of playing chess. And so I just tend to have faith in these guys, think they know what they're doing. And so I'm not really concerned about it. I think especially look at the receivers, Cam Sparks, Jamie French. We talked about this earlier today. I think with our offense and kind of the way we've recruited, we don't know who we're going to lose, from this 2024 season. Who's going to be our guys in 2025, for example. We don't really know who that's going to be exactly, but we think this is an offense, especially with Nico at the helm, that we can turn over year after year at the receiver position. We can get guys from the portal. We can go out here and get the elite 5-star, Mike Matthews type guys that could come in as true freshmen and play. So we're not worried about that position, right? And I think you look at how we're recruiting on the offensive line. Talk about Jalen Matthews. We feel pretty good about Josh Petty, and sometimes we know we'll get him later. But David Sanders, we feel good about these guys. So we feel like we're kind of getting kind of stacked at that position. You know what I mean? So I just think this staff, I think they know what they're doing. And so I'm just not worried about it, honestly.
All right, hey, I think those are some excellent points, but I'm gonna stop it right here because we got to bring up a huge super chat from Timmy G, $100. Appreciate you so much, Timmy G. That's huge, man. Says headed to Omaha. Let's go Big Orange. Hey, that's beautiful. And you know what, man? This is 100% my fault. I usually have the super chat in here, but it's not in here today. But we are gonna do something special for you. And you know what else too? I believe that was our 20th super chat. On live stream. I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's huge right there, Timmy G. Thank you so much. And we're going to pause right here. We're going to get to some more chats as well. We've got Greg Vols also says, the athletic department in general and all the major sports does seem to be headed in the right direction. I'm sad for the softball girls, but they did have a good season. I agree. They really did. They had a really nice season. And then right here, Blackout Jones says, I saw Jalen Matthews had us in his top 3 before his commitment, but if he's not coming, why include us on our list or on that list? Yeah, that's a good point right there. I think that a lot of times people will put some teams, and it seems like they always want to put Tennessee in there. They put us in their top, whatever. And I think that they do that as a way to kind of bargain, especially with NIL. But that's kind of how this whole thing goes, right, P? Like once you get your first offer, especially if it's an SEC caliber offer, you'll see a lot more schools will start to offer after that. And then now with the NIL, what we're seeing is players will use other teams as leverage to try to get more money. And Tennessee is a team that's paying more than most teams. That's something that I do think will change as we continue to win, especially after this season. But P, kind of back to your point, you did kind of bring up Josh Petty. Josh Petty is a guy that, we do feel good about. We definitely feel great about David Sanders. If y'all didn't catch this, whenever Austin Price is interviewing Josh Petty, he's saying, hey, are guys like David Sanders and GMAC recruiting you, right? So I think that that's very telling. I don't know if Austin Price did that on purpose, but he probably did because he likes to throw those, like those little hints and stuff out to you. Yeah. So I think that David Sanders might be a silent commit, but that's just us talking. And so if we can add a guy like Josh Petty to this roster who does want to play with David Sanders and GMAC, all of a sudden, we're in a great position. But it's hard to get a read off of what he was saying earlier today, P. But did you kind of pick up on anything just off of what he was saying?
Yeah, he's a tough kid to read. Pretty good poker face, which it's not a bad thing. Just some kids are tougher to read. Doesn't really wear his emotions on his sleeve, which I definitely admire that. Professional football player. But didn't really catch much from him, man. It seemed like he kind of liked it. Seemed like he's obviously a very smart kid. My first time hearing him really talk. Yeah. Very intelligent kid, carries himself well. Is very interested in our business school. He did mention something about talking with the coaches, and they said so what the coach talked to you about. And he said, well, they got 2 guys leaving next year, and so I'm just speculating. I'm assuming the 2 guys that are leaving that he's talking about are
Spraggs
Spraggs and
and
Campbell,
John
maybe.
Campbell, yeah.
So, that's a guard and that's a tackle. They talked with him being able to replace those two guys next season. So maybe they talk to him about, hey, you can play guard or tackle wherever kind of we need you, wherever you're most comfortable, wherever you can get on the field the earliest is going to be where we'll put you at. And you have a chance to go in here and start next season. So I think that's actually was appealing to him. I know it's been a big question mark, of kind of a big area of contention for him is, does he want to move into guard if need be? And I think coming off the visit that we kind of convinced him that it could be in his best interest to consider that move inside if he needs to. So yeah, man, I think that it went well. And based on what Austin Price said after the visit, I think went about as well as it could. I think we're gonna get a commitment from him here pretty soon.
Yeah, hopefully so. So he's talking about committing at some point in like early August. He's got Florida State coming up on the 21st. That's going to be a tough one. If he can get through that one, then I think that we're in a really good spot. It does feel like, his family really likes us. We've heard the rumors. I don't know how true this is, but it sounds like his sister is trying to go on to Florida State. But if she's not already enrolled in classes, I mean, that's not a hard. I mean, listen, we'll give her a full scholarship too. Okay, you don't have to pay a dime. All right, you don't have to pay for anything, food, room, and board. Okay, you are going to be treated like a star athlete here at this football program, or at this university. Excuse me, because we care that much about you guys. Growing up as Tennessee fans and all that type of stuff. So that'll be interesting. I don't really think that Georgia Tech is really in play, and the reason I say that is just because Georgia Tech is not that good of a football school. It's a good, it's a great academic school, but I think that he wants the best of both worlds. Tennessee should be able to give him that, right? And we talked about it earlier. It's not all about what you know, it's about who you know. Whenever you're involved for life, you open up a whole bunch of doors, okay? We're everywhere across the entire globe, so I feel really good about him. But next week, right? Oh, you know what? Actually, because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I wanted to talk more about Jaden Lofton. This is a guy that, they're saying, hey, he can play Leo or strong side DN. I'm going to tell you why I like him so much. It's something that I've been noticing. People were kind of watching his film, and we're saying, wow, he looks a whole lot like a Jordan Ross. Maybe just a step slower, but he's a bigger guy that can move, and he can really play either one, I think, at a very high level. I think that we might kind of be looking towards being able to be a little bit more versatile at the Leo and at the strong side DN position, where we're not looking at one guy as somebody who can drop back into coverage and also has to rush the passer. And then the other guy is more of that edge setter and then has to get after the passer. We're going to have two guys now. I think that's what we're looking for that can do it all. And, man, if we can land him, it sounds like he's definitely trending towards Tennessee. Whoa. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I like him a lot, man. Yeah, I think he's your strong side DN. He looked good, man. I watched this film. He looks like a guy that gets after it, plays hard, bumps inside, plays inside on film, can do it all for you. And from what Austin Price said, it sounds like we couldn't have done any better with that guy. So, heck, wouldn't be surprised we add him to the boat. And, it's just another great job of the staff going out here evaluating, finding talent, guys that maybe a lot of other teams aren't necessarily in on or super high on. We identify a guy that fits into our system, what we do, our personnel, our scheme, what we coach. And, man, I think he's a big-time guy. And take another guy like I can't remember his name. I want to say George Duncan or something like that.
What's he play?
He's a D end. I'm not sure where he's from.
I don't know who that is.
But I watched his film too. Just looking at him when they was interviewing him, it looks like he's probably, we'll call him 6'6".
Oh, I know. I know who you're talking about. Caesar. Yeah. George Duncan. I don't know who that is.
But Caesar Duncan.
Okay, maybe it is. I always think about Caesar, but yeah, no, he looks good. So I think they're talking to him about being more of a strong side DN and maybe even playing it, like moving into playing like a 3 technique at tackle. I think he said he was about 250, which is exactly what Lofton came in at 6'4". That tells you the difference in how, athletic Lofton is compared to Caesar. But, we'll see how that goes. He's a player that I didn't hear a whole lot from with the insiders, so I don't know what's going on there, right? Like they didn't give us a whole lot right there, so not quite sure. But let me pause real quick. Let me get to some chats real quick. Greg Vols says, after Nico, Squirrel, Brew, Dante Brasso, Matthews, and company explode this year, I suspect a number of the top receivers will want to come to wide receiver. You go Big Orange. That's a great point, P. That's something else we was talking about earlier today. And that's kind of like what we're getting to at this point. And I'm going to get to a couple more chats right here. And Greg Vols says, book it. Boosted 931 says, love the channel, brother. Appreciate that so much. We always appreciate that support and all the kind words. But that's kind of what we're getting at right here, P, is that we're going to bring these guys in and we're going to see Where are you at mentally? Where are you at physically? Do you fit into our culture of the University of Tennessee, the way that we want this thing to be run? And if you don't, hey, there's no hard feelings at this point, but we're going to pass right now. And maybe on down the, line, maybe you can come back around in the transfer portal, kind of like once you figured it out. That's how, and it's not even from like a looking down on anyone perspective. It's not from a, conceited perspective. It's just from a simple match perspective. You've got to match us. Like, you've got to match our energy. And until you can do that, then we're not going to bring you in. But we do think, especially talking about the wide receiver position, P, that, we don't know how many more wide receivers we're going to get in this class. We were in it for some big time guys. Okay. We've got some big ones coming up next weekend. I don't think that Jamie French is still going to be joining us, but Cunningham, he's a 5-star guy. Right now, it sounds like Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Auburn are the front runners. I don't see any reason that we can't, maybe win him over on this visit, especially with all these other blue chip players up here. So, maybe he might be one like really blue chip caliber player that we get in at that position this season. But there might not be very well, excuse me. We do have a few others, but outside of what we already have, right? Well, like, whenever we're talking about that bigger outside body, he might be the only one. And if we need to supplement that, then we just go to the transfer portal next year. It's going to be some good ones there. So I kind of think that that's what the plan is, P. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I agree 100%, man. I think we're very selective with the type of guys we bring in at, especially really at every position. But I mean, look at Tennessee the past however many years. I mean, quiet as kept, we kind of are a little bit of a receiver U. As bad as this team's been, you look back over the years, you're talking about recent years, we've always got a bunch of dogs at receiver. Doesn't matter how bad this team is, we got guys that play the wide receiver position. So something about that orange, I don't know what it is. We just attract the right type of guys to play that position. And Jamie French is a guy, I'm not Jamie French, Caleb Cunningham's the guy that I was, going back to like mid-season last year, kind of was brought to my attention. He's a guy that we're recruiting, and just listening to him talk, and I just kind of got a vibe from him that he wanted to come here. Now, I guess things have kind of changed since then. I know kind of the hometown team and some other teams are kind of really making a strong push for him. But when you listen to him talk, I'll tell you who reminds me a lot of Juwan Jennings.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, he's a guy. I'm not going to be surprised if we can get him to the finish line. I think the X factor is going to be the season. Once the season gets going, I know a lot of these guys these days are committing before their season, no distractions, whatever it is. But I think once they see us play, they see Nico, the way he's slinging it, they see the way this offense is contributing. Can Coach Heupel rotate in guys like Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, get these guys in the game, get them some yards, some stats, some plays. I think when the recruits see that, I just think it's going to surge, and I think we will be able to get these guys to sign. Maybe even get a guy like Jamie French to start looking at us a little bit harder after he sees us during the season. So, but yeah, man, we definitely need that bigger outside body guy. Because, like I said, we don't know who we're going to lose after this season.
Right.
But yeah, I think Caleb Cunningham's a guy to keep your eye on for sure.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to pull this up for y'all real quick. So this is the visitors list for this weekend. This is going to be maybe the biggest one. We'll just go through this one really quickly. Okay. We already know about David Sanders. I think that he is quietly a kind of be that Juwan Jennings, that Brew, like just that bigger guy that can make those tough catches. You need that in the SEC. Not that we don't already have him. I don't think that you can have enough. Next player, Jamie French. I don't think that he's going to be coming. Isaiah Gibson, he's committed to USC. He's kind of been all over the place. I think that he's visited recently here, UGA, maybe Alabama, but don't quote me on that. But I think that right now he is looking somewhere else, like somewhere outside of Southern California. He's from Georgia. I hope that he doesn't go to Georgia because he's a dog, man. I mean, he's a guy that I think could plug in P and play at the strong side DN for sure. And then Jared Smith, love him, another strong side DN type, but he could maybe also play a little bit of Leo. I mean, we'll see what happens with him, but sounds like it's going to be tough for him to leave the state of Alabama. But, man, I would love to get him. He was trending to us very heavily before. Zion Grady, I think he might be going to Miami. Jaden Pilati from right here, or not from right here, but from down the street in Beaufort. He's a guy, man. I think that Tennessee's in a really good spot with him, and they can close out. I hope that the staff does that. We need another linebacker, or at least we need one linebacker in this class. Jaden fits that mold. He can do a multitude of different things. He's going to be really special. We'll go through a few more of these. Darius Dixon, 4-star cornerback from Mater Day. We all know that Jalen Matthews is not coming. Shakai Mills-Knight, and actually, before we get into him, I'm going to talk about him last. Timothy Merritt, he just committed to Miami. And then Charles House, he's a defensive tackle, was trending to our Volunteers for a while. And we don't know what's going on right now. Sounds like it's still between us and Alabama. But Shakai Mills-Knight, I'm going to tell y'all, it's been between us, Miami, and I think Ole Miss, maybe Auburn's into that mix as well. I think he's going to Miami too. I think that Miami is starting to kind of pull in some players. People are starting, I mean, I hate to kind of say this as a Tennessee fan and all that, but I'm going to tell you, man, Miami is a place that as a young person, it's tough to turn that down, especially if you got a whole bunch of money in your pocket. I mean, I don't know how they haven't been just killing it and getting a whole bunch of players. But yeah, I mean, if they go down there, like if they take the kids kind of like outside of Coral Gables, take them to the downtown area and let them see that, downtown Brickell, dude. Dude. I mean, I don't know how you say no to that. But so yeah, I mean, we will see what happens, but I think that Shakai Mills Knight, I honestly would not be surprised if he ends up going to Miami at this point. But we'll see, right, P? Like after this weekend, I think we'll have a lot more insight.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I get the vibe too. He's in Miami for sure, but he's a guy, hometown kid. Was not necessarily from there, from Tennessee, but kind of grew up there, played there, been living there for a long time.
Well, you know what? I think that he's from Canada. I don't know how long he's been living in Tennessee. I think that I think he's in Chattanooga now, but I think that he might only have. I think he's only been playing football for like a year or two. So I think
he just went there. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's more recent.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, I was not really in the hometown ties there. So we'll see. I mean, he's a guy we love to add. I think he fits into what we need to do, to what we're trying to do, and we're kind of lacking depth at that position. So we'll see. It's gonna be a big test for the running back coach. I forget his name, but big test for him.
Yeah.
See if he can land a guy like this, kind of on the edge. But yeah, man, it's tough to turn down Miami, man. That's Miami, baby.
Hey, I'm telling you, dog. Hey, yeah, it is so hard. But yeah, you know what? I think that Coach Sims is going to do a really good job moving forward. But you know what? It's interesting because Coach Sims and Coach Inge have not landed any commitments as far as I know, at least not at their positions. So that's interesting. I think that they've done a pretty good job of maybe helping us to retain some guys, but they haven't landed any yet. So, I mean, the book is still kind of out there, and we've heard that there could be this deal now where the NCAA lets some extended staff members go out and, recruit. That could be a really big deal for some of these guys if they're not, like really good, guys that can go out and shut down these blue chip types of prospects. But I think that, you got to give them a lot more time. They haven't been here for long enough for us to be able to say that. But I will say this. I watched the video the other day of a 7-on-7 up there in Knoxville, and I saw some of the coaching staff out there just looking at the players. Coach Sims was looking hard. I mean, he was evaluating talent. So you most definitely love to see that. And I'm going to pull these chats back up really quickly, y'all. I just didn't read them off because P was talking. But from Boosted931, it says, well, one of the best covering Vols. Thank you so much for that. We definitely appreciate the support. And then Green Wave, what's up? Green Wave says, he says, yes, sir, to Boosted931. So thank y'all so much for that support. And then Greg Voll says, and I also agree about the culture. We need the right fit. Derek Rogers was a great receiver, but didn't work out for us. That's another great point. He's actually from around the way. I believe he went to Norcross, didn't he, Pete?
He went to Calhoun.
Derek Rogers?
Yeah.
Which one went to Norcross?
It
was a wide receiver, and
I don't know.
I think that you body slammed him one time, man. I think that you body slammed around the goal line. Oh yeah, okay, Kroom. Okay, all right,
yeah.
All right, my bad. I got that mixed up. Okay, so let me get back to my dog G White. He says best batting lineup all season. Seacrest had a game. Yeah, he most definitely did. So just to kind of take it back to the baseball, super proud of the way that we performed right there, and I hope that he will be able to continue that for us moving forward. We just got to get off to a hot start pitching, and I mean, really, y'all, I don't know if it was even so much of the pitching that was an issue. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit, but it was a whole lot of errors that got us into some really bad situations. So if we just cut that down, I mean, I think that we wouldn't even be talking about this today. So we got to make sure that we clean that up. And now Blackout Jones says, Miami can get whoever, but Cristobal is and will continue to be the problem. Coaching is everything. And I agree with that 1,000,000%. I do think that they can go out and get the talent. South Florida, Dade County, Broward County, tremendous talent in those areas. I don't know how or why they're not doing better than they have been. But a lot of that, to your point, Blackout Jones, goes back to the coaching. So, maybe they'll get more higher caliber players in and they won't necessarily produce and turn into anything. I'm not wishing that on nobody. But if that does happen, then you'll see them kind of go back into that black hole that they've been in for such a long time where people just don't want to go there, But it's not like it was back in the day when people were, I think, were kind of scared to go there just because of it was violent and stuff. It's not like that now. So we don't want too many people to be finding out about Miami. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's not, you do not want people finding out about that, because it's gonna be hard to turn folks away. But I think that's gonna be it though, P. I think that we touched on enough stuff. We kind of covered all bases here, so to speak. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, hey, well, real quick, I want to ask you this. I don't know if we talked about it yet, but Faison Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
Big time
Wow.
five-star guy, 2026. Obviously GMAC in 2025.
Mhm.
I mean, do you is it feasible that we could get both of these guys and have both of these guys? Because I mean, looking at it, you would think, okay, GMAC comes in, Brandon comes in as GMAC's a redshirt freshman or whatever. GMAC starting, I think.
Well, I mean, shoot, hold on, because you still got Merck, right?
And that's the thing, Merck.
Still got
do you
Merck.
think it's feasible we keep all these guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I can tell you why, because if you look around the country, there's several schools that have good quarterbacks. And I mean, they don't even have them, they're not organically built and groomed quarterbacks. It's guys that transferred in. You transferred in knowing what the situation was. You know what I'm saying? So we could talk about the Buckeyes. They're one, got a loaded quarterback room. Texas is one, but they don't really have those. They might have one guy that transferred in. I don't remember if the one guy, I can't even think of his name. I don't remember if he was in the 23 or 22 class or what. But anyway, they've got a whole bunch of them. Oregon, I think that they've got two guys that are starting caliber that transferred in, right? I mean, Dylan Gabriel, and then the guy from UCLA or wherever. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely think that it is. And then if you take a look at how Oklahoma was whenever, we talked about this too, P, whenever they had, it was almost every single season for 6-7 years. They've got a quarterback in the Heisman race. That's what Tennessee's heading towards. I think it has a lot to do with this offense. Quarterbacks want to play in it. It's very quarterback friendly. It makes you look good. And we've seen the quarterbacks go into the league and have a whole lot of success as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think we'll return to new QBU. If we can find a way to pull all these guys in, retain them, keep them, man. I mean, it's like you're almost excited for the guy that's starting to leave, so the next guy can start. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we're getting to. So I'm excited, man. That's this question I thought about, man. Can we keep all these guys?
That's an excellent one. I'm gonna get to these last few chats. I'm gonna pull this one back up. My dog Slim says, "Go Big Orange." That was awesome. Thank you so much, Slim. And then G White says, "Wet field tonight, and we made some slips, but looking forward to a dry field in Omaha." Yes, sir. In Omaha. I love it. And Deborah P, this question's for you right here, P. It says, "Hey P, how is Braves tournament?" So she's talking about Kaysen.
Oh, okay. Oh, appreciate it, Deborah. Yeah, he had a good little tournament. Was way out there in Waleska, Georgia, which is like an hour and a half from us. It's kind of way out in the country a little bit, but he did well. He played his best tournament. Had a couple good hits.
Home run.
Yeah, he had a home run. Actually got called back. It was kind of a weird deal. The ump behind the plate, looking down third baseline, called it fair. But the umpire that was behind first base, or whatever, went after the fact and said no, it was foul. Which I don't know how he could see the ball on that side. I don't know, but they robbed him of his first home run. But he played very well. He played good. I appreciate you asking about him.
Yeah. And shoot, I mean, he was looking good out there, doing some training, man. So, and then we've got right here from Memphis Vol. Doesn't say nothing, but gives us a $1 or I'm sorry, a $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Memphis Vol. That's huge, man. We most definitely appreciate all that support. I want to also say this, people, because you did bring up Faison Brandon. I think that I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion, but I think that he's pretty much coming. What do you think about his game? I mean, who does he remind you of?
Man, it's tough, man. Definitely, weirdly enough, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's how big he looks out there, the way he kind of holds the ball. Something about him, and I know some people are gonna kind of cringe. Something about him reminds me of Joe Milton. I'm not saying he plays like him, but something about him, I immediately thought about Joe Milton. But I mean, his release, it's a little bit almost unorthodox, but it's super lightning quick. It has extreme amount of touch. Can extend plays, can throw on the run, very accurate. That's what you heard him talk about that when he was in Knoxville the other day at the camp. Was his arm strength? Yeah, everyone knows about that, but his accuracy is what really caught people kind of by surprise.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, just unbelievable. And from North Carolina, it's like Hendon Hooker has a similar demeanor. Just I'm not going to say much. I'm kind of a laid back type of guy, but at the same time, I ain't scared of nothing. I'll run through a wall. You want to compete? Let's compete. We'll, hey, I'll go to the death with you. You know what I mean? He gives me that type of vibe. So, I mean, very excited about him. And I don't know how big he's listed as. He's a
He's
guy.
he's listed at 6'3.5", 200 pounds.
Yeah, see, he's way bigger than that. I got him. I got him. Just eyeballing him. I got him at least 6'4.5". 222, 223. He's gonna be about 240 when by the time he's on the campus. I
Yeah,
guarantee you. About
yeah.
230 for sure.
Yeah, I would say that for sure by like his sophomore, junior season, he's definitely going to be about 230. Something else that
Yeah.
you had brought up, P, with Faison, and you could talk about all the quarterbacks that Coach Heupel has brought in. They're all got that calm, laid back, like mindset and personality to
That's
them.
true. That's very
And
true.
that's exactly what you need from a quarterback, to be a dog deep down, right? Because they're all dogs too. But they're so cool. They're so even keeled. And they don't tend to really get rattled. Like, you don't really see them seeming to look or react rattled. Let me get back to this right here, because I apologize for that, Memphis Vol, if you put this with that super chat, but he's asking, can you see a football championship realistically this year? Well, P, would you like to take this one?
I mean, heck, I'll start off, and you can finish it off if you want to. But I mean, yeah, realistically, yeah, and I'll tell you exactly why. I think so. We already know what this team is. Okay, you look at the way this team's built. Where's it start? The trenches. Okay, I think both sides of the ball, offensive line, defensive line, we're veteran laden, however you say it. Okay, we've got a bunch of older guys, big, beefier guys.
Yep.
So up front, we feel good. So what does that mean? Well, that means no matter who we play, whether it's Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, whoever, we feel like, hey, we can win the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
So that's where it starts. We can win the line of scrimmage, Texas, whoever it is. We can win the line of scrimmage against whoever we play. All right. Then you look at, the skill guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondary is a question coming into it. But I think we're going to improve their leaps and bounds from our last year because we're more athletic, we're faster, we're longer, we're more aggressive. And I think we talk about D-line with the pressure we're going to get up front. I think they're going to be able to make plays, make a lot of picks. I think we'll get a lot of turnovers from that group. And then you look at the receivers, the skill guys, Brew McCoy, is he who we thought he was? Who he was, previously. If he is, obviously Dante Thornton, Chris Brazzell, Squirrel White, Mike Matthews, the skill guys are there. Obviously Nico's there. I think he's the ultimate X factor.
Yeah.
He's a guy that could have probably took this Stanford team from last year with the Brew McCoy being out. And I think that we only lose like 2-3 games, 1 or 2 games last year with Nico. I think you put him in here this year as a guy that has a year under his belt, potential Heisman candidate. Yeah, I think it's safe to say this team definitely can win. I think we have the team to beat Georgia. I think we're going to beat Bama, Oklahoma, all these guys. I think we can beat any team in the country. So for sure, I think we can win one this year realistically.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that was very, very well said right there, P. Greg Vols says he certainly is less gifted than GMAC and Faison, but I have a feeling that the Merck kid has the it factor. You know what? I think that's a really good point. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of folks were just kind of crowning and saying, well, GMAC's going to be that guy, but man, Jake Merklinger looked really good in spring practice. I was very impressed with him. Very impressed. We're talking about a true freshman going out there playing with grown men. I think that he held his own, and he's only going to continue to get a lot better. He already physically looks like, he could go out there and, and play. He's got to be up over 210, 215-ish pounds at about 6'3". He's a baller. He can move. And I think he throws well on the run. He's another one with really great touch. Reminds me a lot of Faison in that category. And I think that GMAC reminds me a little bit more of Nico, because Nico does have that touch. He can drop it in there, but it's not quite like a Merck or like a Faison with his touch. He's more of I'm going to put it right on you. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit of a different ball. So I think that there's some subtle differences there, but we've got 2 quarterbacks that do kind of maybe mirror one another, or, mirror one or the other. But I will say this, man, they're all studs. And I mean, we have a lot to look forward to for sure moving forward. Let me get to a couple more of these. So right here, Deborah says, whoop, Bray getting a homer, Kaysen getting a homer. And then Greg, okay, he's saying that he meant to say Merck. And then Greg is also saying that Faison is big time upgrade from Joe. Kid is going to be a man amongst boys. I agree. And then Seth Bauer says, here's the thing. Who is about to account for James Pierce? Answer is nobody. That's a big, big fact. I don't think that you can stop him, especially whenever you're talking about the strong side D, and we could be upgrading their P from what Tyler Barron gave us last season. I mean, Tyler Barron looked good, but I think that we're both on the same page that Tyree Weathersby could be even more of a threat as a pass rusher. And I mean, really just all the way around. I think he's got a much higher motor and all that type of stuff too.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, and heck, God forbid we put Jordan Ross opposite this guy.
Whew.
Caleb
Oh
Herring
my
got this
gosh.
thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so right here, Seth is also saying that Nico should have played all year last year. Carla Jenkins is saying, at Seth Bowers, right? He is the 2025 projected number 1 pick. Carson Cube, I hope I'm saying your last name right, sir, says, we going undefeated. I agree 1,000,000%. I agree 1,000,000%, man. You know, I think that, let me get to this one right here. Memphis Vol says, Nico going to be a Hendon/Bryce Young mix. I think that that's a really good comparison. I think that he actually, I think he was pretty close with Bryce Young in high school. At some point, I think that they trained together and all of that. So he's probably got a whole lot of that in him. I mean, you look at guys like Bryce Young, who, you know, is a much smaller player, but he played like a giant. You know what I'm saying? You know, Nico is a bigger player that plays like a daggone bigger player, man. So he's an absolute warrior. But yeah, I think that we have a whole lot to look forward to and to be excited about on Rocky Top in general, just with everything. We're doing a great job with everything. I could not be prouder of this university. I know that we're all on the same page with that, P. But that's going to be it, y'all. Thank y'all so much for sticking with us. I know it's a little bit late. People got to get to work tomorrow. I want to try to watch the end of this finals game. I don't know what's going on with the score, but thank y'all so much for sticking all the way to the end. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. And we will see y'all